Welcome to Rick's Corner, brought to you by Old School Labs, the brand I trust and the only one I put my name to. Use my code DRASIN12 on the link below.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
Hi, welcome to Rick's Corner. I got a false start before. I didn't know if this thing was working or not. But people like to hear my stories because I have a lot of stories because I've lived a long life and I've done a lot of things, and most things in my life are humorous. They just happen to be that way, and it's the way my life works out. People had asked me about wrestling for years, and I've already done a video on this about, is it fake? Do you get hurt? I said, you get hurt. It's like a car accident. Every time you get in that ring, it's like being jerked around and getting whiplash, and like a car accident. Something's going to give. Hopefully it doesn't, but there are times that it does. I remember when I was married and I came home one night, I had torn my right quad and I had it wrapped in ice, and I was with my son Shane, and my wife at the time says, "Did you get hurt again?" I said, "Oh, it's nothing serious. I just got a little injury in my quad, but it'll be okay. I have ice on it." So I called the doctor the next day and I said, "Look, I think I tore something. Can this be sewn up?" He said, "Well, if it's a muscular tear, no, it'll be like sewing jello. But if it's a tendon tear, yes, it has to be reattached." Well, I wasn't quite sure what it was because I couldn't tell, but I know that my leg was numb and I had a hard time bending and moving it. It happened to be on a holiday because all my accidents happen on holidays. I used to have to bubble wrap myself just to go outside the door. So I got a crutch and I walked out to my garage to get a box out of it, and I slipped and fell on the curb on one leg on the step, and I tore my other quad. My son and my wife at the time had to come out and pick me up and put me in the edge of the ring. I must have turned white because when you rip a tendon, you just go numb. Everything in you just like shock. Now I've got both legs that are ripped and I can't walk. So that next day, I believe it was, or 2 days later, I went to the doctor and he looked at me and he says, "Let me see you walk across the room." I said, "Okay." So I walked across the room stiff-legged. And he says, No. He says, "You need to bend your knees. Sit down here and bend your knees." I said, "I can't." He said, "Well, you got 2 ruptured quads and we're going to have to reattach them, and we have to do it within the next 2 days or they'll atrophy." And I must have turned as white as a sheet because I hate hospitals. So I went in and they put them back together and they stapled me up. And of course I got a staph infection and one that wasn't real sexy looking at all, and it was painful. But I went around in the back of the car with my legs straight out because I couldn't bend them, so I had to be driven. Then I went to the gym in a walker. As soon as I could loosen that leg brace, I got in my car and I put my foot on the gas and the brake. I was driving off. I'm taking off. So I go to the gym and I'm working out with a walker, and I'm walking around from machine to machine to machine. And people said, "Why aren't you home?" And I said, "Why would I want to be home? Feeling sorry for myself when I can still work upper body, and that's what I want to do." And that's what I did. Before I knew it, now here's my point. If you have an injury and you want it to heal, and you want it to heal on its own, of course, getting blood flow and circulation really helps. If you sit home and do nothing, it seems like it takes twice as long. If you can go about your daily routine and you get up and you do the things you do normally during the day, even though you have to wear a brace or a walker or a crutch or a cane, that time goes by quick. And before you know it, you're done with that, a walker and the cane and all that, and you're rehabbing it and it's starting to get well. And that's why I did it, because I didn't want my day to be anything different than what I normally do, and I think it really helped a lot. So that was one of the accidents. Then I'm up at Gold's in Northridge, and I'm doing decline tricep extensions with 65s, and my tricep snapped and shot up my arm and back. And I thought, oh, not another injury. Well, they told me in the hospital it was just sprained, but in the meantime, when I saw the x-ray later on, I could see the bone chip up high in my arm, and it was too late to reattach my tricep. So now I'm walking around with torn muscle and never had it reattached. I also think that was on a holiday. Jesus. So those are a couple of things, but I went right back to the gym the next day and started working biceps and doing everything I could around the tricep. I started doing one-arm tricep pushdowns with about 5 pounds because that's all I could do until I started building it up again. And little by little, it got stronger and I got my strength back. But it didn't hold me back. I just did what I had to do, and I just kept going forward. Now it's like it's easy to give in and be lazy and weak and stay home and feel sorry for yourself, but it's not easy for me to do that. It's just very difficult to do that. I need to be up, out, and going. All right, on Halloween one year, this is a good one. I'm out and back, and I'm cutting some molding for my bathroom. And I have a table saw that Joe Gold gave me that he built all of his equipment back in the 70s with, and he let me have it. I can't get rid of it. It's a collector's item that Joe owned it. The blade was all rusty and all that, but it's okay. It worked. So in the meantime, I'm cutting molding, and the motor's going, and I'm looking around, and I'm thinking to myself, I had a little disagreement with my other half at the time, which happens in marriages. And I put my hand down, and I put my hand down on the blade, not realizing it was going. Now, this is the truth on my finger, because people ask me, I give them different stories all the time. It cut off my little finger, my knuckle, and my knuckle on the finger next to it, and the finger next to it, and the tip of the other one. My finger fell on the ground. So I yelled for my son to come out and bring a towel and some ice. And so he did, and we wrapped it up, and he put the finger in some ice. He called 911, and we went to the hospital. They took me in, they looked at me, they gave me a little shot of, I don't know what it was, something to numb my pain. It didn't hurt that bad. It just went like that. And the next thing I knew, my finger's on the ground. Guess what the first thought was that came to my head? How am I going to work out tomorrow? Now that's dedication. So they take me in. It's starting to get late at night. He calls my wife at the time, and he says, hey, Dad just cut his fingers off. She says, oh, don't bullshit me. It's Halloween. You guys are playing the trick on me. No, he really cut him off. We're over at Valley Press Hospital, and that's where he'll be. And so she shows up, mad, as always, because I used the dish towel to wrap my hand in. And she said to him, why did you have to give him the dish towel? That was a new one. You could have used the other one. Now it's got blood on it. We can't even use it. My fingers have fallen off, and you're worried about a stinking dish towel? Come on. Go down to the Dollar Tree and buy 2 more. So anyway, they took me into surgery, and I had this little Korean guy that does hands, and he seemed to know what he was doing. And I said, I don't want to be put out, just sew him on. So I went in, I was there 2.5 hours talking to him. He says, if you'd quit talking, I get done. I said, well, all you got to do is just stitch it up and send me home. He says, no, I got to reattach the tendons and the nerves and all that in those 2 fingers. The little finger you're going to lose. Forget about it. You'll never have it again. So I said, okay, that's fine with me. I called my agent, told him I'm missing a finger, send me out on rolls. I play bad guys with missing fingers. Let's take advantage of it, make some money with it. So anyway, they got done with me, and they stuck me up in a room overnight. I said, I got to stay overnight? He says, yes, you have to be on an IV of antibiotics overnight, and you go home tomorrow morning. Man, I hate hospitals. So I went up there, and there was nobody on that ward, on that floor. It was just me. It was like one of those movies, you know, like the Wax Museum, The Hospital from Hell, or maybe zombies are walking up and down the hallway at night. I had this in my head. I'm starving. I hadn't had anything to eat. And so they brought me a little sandwich, was like really crap. And then I got up to go to the bathroom, and I stepped on a piece of glass. I said, oh, what could be worse? Does it get any worse than this? So everybody left me there overnight, and I'm laying there sleeping, and I finally get up around 6 a.m. The nurse comes in, how you doing? I said, fine, I want to go home. She said, well, the doctor has to release you. I said, look, I'm over 21. I can release myself. No, he has to do it. And I called home, and my wife at the time said, you're not coming home. You're staying there. You got to be released. Don't be so stubborn. I said, no, I want to get out of here. I don't want to stay in the hospital. So I called my son, and I asked him to come pick me up, which he did. The nurse brings me a gym bag of clothing, and I put these pants on, and I said, my God, they're skin tight. Am I holding water or something? She says, no, nothing's changed. I said, my God, they're tight. I said, read the label on the back. What size are these? She looked, she said, they're size small. I said, they're my wife's pants. What the hell are they doing in my gym bag? So I wore them home, and then I showered and changed, and I went out to eat with my son. I said, look, I got a big mitt on my hand. I got 2 long shafts going into my fingers, holding them like pins, holding them together. The little one's gone. And I took that home with me in a jar of formaldehyde. So I look on the jar later on, and it says a label on it. It says Richard Allen Labs. Well, my name is Richard Allen, but it had nothing to do with the jar. It was just a coincidental that the laboratory had the same name I have, which I always thought was kind of weird. So I have the finger in my pantry over my washer, and people come over, they want to see my finger. It's there with a nail and the bone and all. So that was one of those accidents that, I don't know, I kind of turned it around into a positive. I can have tricks with this finger, and I make people laugh, and I tell them when I'm in an elevator that I got it caught in the door a year before, and I get free meals and tickets, and they believe me. And when I was with a girlfriend, she said, they always looked at her, is that true? And she'd say, I don't know, last week it was an alligator. So I always had a different story. I tell them I wrestled an alligator, a gorilla bit it off at the zoo, you know, I got run over by a tow truck, but it's fun because I can make a joke out of it. Does it bother me? No. I don't really even miss it at all unless I try to wash my armpit with a bar of soap and it falls out of my hand. So there's a good side to everything, and you can't let things get you down. I did get on the shield as a bad guy, and it was probably because I told them my finger was missing and I'd been in prison and it got cut off as one of the gangs took it. So that kind of played in my favor. Anyway, I wanted to share those stories with you. I have a lot more, but those are fun, and I just don't let things hold me back. I literally did go to the gym 2 days later with the mitt on my hand and the pins in my fingers, and I used wrist wraps in order to pull the weights for certain exercises. And the things I had to push was no problem at all, but things I had to curl with my hand was kind of hard, so I just used wrist wraps. So what I'm trying to say, there's a solution to everything if you want to do it. You don't have to be incapacitated or injured where it's going to hold you back. You can work around stuff. Unless you're deathly ill, then that's a whole different story. And I was in the hospital 3 years ago with a congestive heart failure and pneumonia. That was another accident. There was an oxygen machine in my garage that belonged to my mom when she was in the hospital. And we sat out there, and Arnold and I used to breathe oxygen in between squats at the gym because the smog was so bad. So I said, well, I think I'm going to breathe some oxygen. So I did a couple of days off and on with it, and it had dirt and bacteria in it and rat droppings from my garage, and it infected my lung. That's what the whole thing came from. So I had to go to the hospital. My oxygen was 73. It should be 96. I could not breathe. They drained 2.5 quarts of blood out of my lungs, and I lost about 30 pounds. And I was in there for quite a while, and I kept thinking, I just got to get back in shape. I got to get back to the gym and eat right and feel better. So as soon as I got out, I came home. I was walking around. I had a hard time breathing. Little by little, it got better. I went out. I went to a movie. I brought the oxygen tank with me. In the meantime, the oxygen tank had been on, so there was no oxygen in it. And then I realized, well, hell, I can breathe on my own. I don't even need that anymore. So I went to the gym, started riding the bike slowly, working out slowly, eating right. 30 pounds that I lost, I put back on 20 good pounds. So even at that, I was able to get through it and come back and feel alive again. So there's just always a way to do something if you want to do it. I'm getting older and things do change, and I do wake up with injuries and soreness, and what are you going to do? It's part of life. So you have to live with it and do the best you can, and hopefully put it behind you. And the minute you get rid of one injury and one pain, a new one starts up. But I've talked to a lot of people, and they all tell me the same thing. It just happens. So I just wanted to give you those stories. I thought they were kind of funny, and I'll have more as time goes on. Stay tuned for more, and be sure to watch Rick's Corner, and that's also going to a podcast on audio only. See y'all next time. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed the video brought to you by Old School Labs. Use my discount code DRASIN12 on the link below at oldschoollabs.com. Hey everyone, now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin, personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world, and I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interest as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.